Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. I thought we would talk about the Harry Hopkins. This was kind of my pick of the update for vehicles that I wanted to play. It's obviously a low-tier British World War II vehicle with a very interesting history, so it's something that, at least for me, I find really interesting. Unfortunately, in War Thunder, it's not very good, and that kind of sucks, and there are just much better options around the BR, which means that it's not in a great place, and that kind of is sad. But it happens, there's not really a lot you can do with it. It just has some fundamental flaws which make it not as fun as playing some other vehicles that are similar. So the Harry Hopkins is a beefy light tank in a very specific stance. It has some more armor on the front of it than you see from most, and that basically means that you can at least feel safe while you die. So that's very important. Generally, when it comes to this type of vehicle, confidence is everything until you get shot in the face. I think, wasn't the quote something like, everybody has a plan until you get hit in the face? That's basically what the Harry Hopkins is. And when you have a look at its stats, looking at a 2-3, looking at rank 2, it is generally actually pretty poor. The biggest problem is its mobility. Once again, with a vehicle like this, before you get stuff like the engine, the transmission, the tracks, all the left-hand side mobility options, it just doesn't move very fast. It's very slow off the gate, and for a vehicle like this, you need it to be a bit quicker because it doesn't have access to a very good reverse. The reverse is only 4 kilometers an hour, which is absolutely terrible and means that you are not in a good place. Also, you do have, the 3-man crew, which is pretty standard for the British stuff. So if you get shot in the center, you just die instantly. If you get shot anywhere, you basically die instantly. There was only one vehicle which wasn't able to piece me up, and that was a Panzer II, which for some reason couldn't pen me from the side. I don't know if he was using the right rounds or not, but yeah, he struggled, but everybody else was able to hammer. This thing does have the vertical stabilizer on the gun, which is really nice, so it means that, you usually are able to get the first shot off, but the targeting speed isn't great, and once again, because of this transmission, turning the vehicle is just not good. Turning this vehicle is a pain, and it really, really shows. The Tetrarch, which has a very similar setup to it in terms of its engine and in terms of its transmission, I think it might actually just be straight up copied across it. Basically, the Tetrarch is nearly a ton lighter than it, so that gives it extra mobility to be able to move around. Now, Harry Hopkins doesn't have this extra mobility because it's way heavier, so pushing the vehicle around just does not feel good to do, and that is a problem. The other part of it is being 2-3. So being 2-3, they're basically saying that it's worse than the other light tanks, which are mainly at 2-7. Stuff like the Crusader, for example, and then other vehicles like that, which it is. It's way worse than it. But the other problem with being at 2-3 is you can still get up-tiered into 3-3. And I don't know what was happening yesterday, but pretty much all of my matches that I played in this thing were full up-tiers to 3-3, facing T-34s, facing Panzer IVs, and all of these things, which basically meant that we were dead on arrival when facing a lot of these targets. And with the 2-3 lineup that this thing gets, you have the Hurricanes, which are not too bad. You have the Valentine, which is there, but really that's about it. Compared to the 2-7 lineup, where you have a lot of different stuff. You do have the Sark Mark 6 2-pounder that you can bring in, but I just generally don't like bringing something like that in. The reason for it is simple. It's a vehicle that just gets cast. Like, I don't know how else to put it. If you second spawn or third spawn this vehicle, it's very large, doesn't have any armor, people go after it straight away. At least with the Harry Hopkins, it has a bit of armor on the top of it, which, can save it, apart from the turret, which only has 4mm of armor, so never mind, you just die anyway. I thought it had a bit more on the dev server. I was probably wrong. So you can see there's some problems with this thing. Doesn't have great mobility. A lot of other vehicles, especially when it comes to the German ones, they have a lot of autocannons just wandering around, just bang, 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 bang. And you are just sat here with the 2-pounder, which once you get the upgraded round, the APC-BC round, it's generally not too bad. But I've found the AP, the standard one, penetrates, does very low splash, and also, you have to hit a target multiple times to be able to take it out, which is a bit of a pain, whereas they can just brrr, and then you're just dead in the setup. I thought I would have a much better time in this thing. I thought it would be a lot more interesting. I thought it would be similar to some of the other light tanks that I've actually had a lot of fun with. I thought I could do something with the armor and be able to kind of, survive a few shots and then angle it and stuff. But no, none of that exists. It looks like nowadays, as I said, with a lot of the up tiers, there was no chance I was going to survive against anything. But even at the tier, the HVAP of the auto cannons is very strong, and then also you just run into a bunch of Swedish vehicles which pen ridiculous amounts with the APDS as well. Also, if you compare this to another vehicle that's just been added, the MD-35 PAC, which has access to the 50mm long barrel from the Germans, that just slices through you like butter. And it's also a 2.7, so in exactly basically the same remit or BR bracket as the Harry Hopkins. And yeah, the differences between them are quite stark. Where the Harry gets stuff like the smoke grenades and also gets access to the Besser machine gun, unfortunately the AMD gets the power of the gun and the mobility once it's modified. I feel like maybe if this Harry Hopkins was a little bit lower in BR, I might have enjoyed it more. Maybe that's the case, maybe not. It's very hard to tell. But at least at the moment when I played it, I just was constantly thinking about the better light tanks that exist in the game around these BRs. And after running into them all and just, as I said, having a very negative experience, it's just kind of how it goes. So we played 6 battles in the Harry Hopkins, 67% win rate, so we won 4 of them. We went 10 ground kills to 6 deaths to spade it, and generally a lot of those times was just getting overrun by, as I said, just T-34s. It's just crazy to me how, we talk about decompression at the high tiers and how it's needed all the time because of the difference in mechanics between all these different things. Some of the low tier matchups are criminal, like when it comes to it. Think about how this vehicle has to face stuff like M4 Shermans with 105s, which you have to get around the side, and with no mobility, that's not going to happen. You have Stuarts, you have Crusaders, you have MDs, all just one little BR bracket above you at 2.7. They all annihilate you when it comes to the Harry Hopkins. There is nothing that you can do against them. So, yeah, it was a toughie. I think I might try and revisit it in the future. Hopefully I can have a bit more of a positive outlook on it, but at least in the current matchmaking, and at least what happened to me, it was not an enjoyable experience. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.